RSU Learn TV. My name is Barbara Smith, and I will be with you for the next 30 minutes. I am a teacher at Sequoyah, and I teach middle school language arts. So today we're going to be talking about Greek and Roman mythology, but before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Veronica. Happy birthday, Veronica. And Arun, I know you're watching, so hi to Arun. So we're going to talk Greek and Roman mythology. We're going to do a principal review of the Greek gods and goddesses, and then at the end, we are going to have about 7 minutes to make a paper Zeus. So you might want to get a toilet paper roll, which y'all should have those. So, all right, let's get started. So what is a myth? Well, it's not something you tell your parents when you don't clean your room. That would be a little white lie. A myth is a traditional story rooted in primitive folk beliefs of cultures. It uses supernatural to interpret natural events, explains the culture's view of the universe and the nature of humanity. So again, not something you tell your teachers when you forget your homework. So last week we talked about themes in stories, and some of those themes are revenge, jealousy, vanity, deception, and manipulation. And so you're going to see that a lot of these themes show up in Greek mythology. Now, you would think that the Greek gods and goddesses would be better than humans because it sounds like base emotions to me. So base emotions are things that we don't have to be taught, that they're already innate in us. And so those things are things like anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise. So, you know, I thought Greek mythology gods were supposed to be better than us. But it sounds like a Jerry Springer show every time. So in the beginning, so it has to have a backstory, right? Everything has to have a beginning. Before you had Zeus, you had something else. It came from something. So in the beginning, it was chaos, shapeless, and nothingness. And I think that's where they got the idea for Spanx. Chaos had two children, night, darkness, which we call darkness. You know, at night it's dark unless you live in Finland in May, then it's 24 hours of light. And then Erebus was death. So all was black, empty, silent, and endless. And the love was born out of darkness and death. I don't know what to say about that. So it's been spontaneous combustion, I guess. So, and then, so it's like at the drive-thru, and then, when love was born, order and beauty began to flourish. Love created light and day. Earth was created. She was the solid ground, but also a personality. And the earth bore heaven to cover her and be a home for the gods. So before we go on to the next slide, I want you to pay very close attention. Earth bore heaven. Okay, you got that? We're getting into Jerry Springer stuff here. So the first parents. So in Greek mythology, because you have to have a beginning, so the first parents were Mother Earth, which is Gaia. There's two different spellings for Gaia. Gaea would be one of the spellings, but Gaia is normally what most people spell it because it just sounds phonetically correct. So the first parents were Mother Earth and Father Heaven. Did y'all catch that? Mother Earth and Father Heaven. Father Heaven was also called Uranus. So when we get into the Roman names of Greek gods, a lot of them have planetary names. They're associated with different planets. That's what I'm trying to say. So they had three kinds of children. 3 monsters with 100 hands and 50 heads. Now imagine taking that to a grocery store, right? You'd like, stop touching everything. And then 3 Cyclops and the Titans. Well, I have a picture here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that was what the 100 hands and 50 heads look like. And I wouldn't want to meet that in a dark alley. I would be like, okay, here's my purse and my keys to my house and car. You can have it. I would not want to come face to face with one of those things. They're pretty scary. So looking back, I wanted to find out if Cyclops was spelled with an ES. Because I've seen it with ES a lot. So I did some research on it and found the origin of the word Cyclops, which I thought was pretty interesting. I like to know like root words and where they come from. So you guys know that the Cyclops is the guy that has the eye in the middle of his head. So the Greek word for the first word is kuklos, which means circle. And then you pair that with the Greek word ops, which means eye. Now, I know you guys have heard the word op before. Think about it. Who do you go see if you need your eyes checked? That's right. You see an optometrist. So you combine those two words and you get kuklops, which means round eye. Well, that makes sense, right? Because he has a round eye in the middle of his head. Why don't we just call it what it is? But then it derived into Latin, where we have what we know now as the spelling Cyclops. He's a cute guy. All right, Titans. There were many of them. That's too many to count, really. They were enormous in size, incredible strength. Kronos was also associated with a planet, Saturn. And he was the ruler of the Titans in the beginning. He was the ruler. And his wife was Rhea. And then Ocean was the river that encircled the world. So these are the Titans. And they considered the ocean part of the Titans. And I guess that makes sense because we call all the water in our world an ocean now. I'm not sure where that really comes from. Maybe you guys can research that. That would be a fun research activity. So we have principal gods. So from the principal gods, Cronus and Rheas, they were the parents of Zeus, Poseidon. So remember, when we say parents, we're talking about sisters and brothers here. So pay attention because this is going to end up as a Jerry Springer show. Zeus, Hades, Hera, Hestia, and Demeter. Why did I say Demeter? It's Demeter. All right, and then other Olympians. Okay, so you're probably wondering why these are Titans and these are Olympians, and I have a backstory for that too. Other Olympians include Athena, Ares, Hebe, Hephaestus, Apollo, Artemis, Hermes, Aphrodite, Dionysus, and Persephone. And anyone who has read a book, especially Percy Jackson and the Lightning King, the Odyssey, or read any of the Greek mythology, you come across these characters constantly. So, and usually people associate or they like one or the other more. I tend to like Hermes, and we'll talk about Hermes because he is a character. Okay, so how did the Olympians become Olympians? Usually we associate the Titans synonymously with the Olympians, and they were. But here's what happened. So the Titans were in control up until Kronos lost power to Zeus, because Zeus decided, hey, I think I could be better and stronger, and I'm going to overthrow my father. And so that's what he did. And then he created this whole little clan called the Olympians, and he said, nana, nana, boo-boo, y'all can't get in my club. And that's how that happened. That's the short version of it, the Miss Smith version. So Zeus, his Roman name is Jupiter, also a planet. Forgot what that planet looks like. Saturn has the rings, right? Okay. They also call him Jove. He is the supreme god of the Olympians, and he fathered many characters in mythology. So at the end of this, say we're going to make a paper Zeus. He's cute, right? This one has special powers, guys. Just FYI, you'll see. Okay, so he married Hera. Are y'all keeping up? Okay. This is like a family reunion from Crazy Town. So he married Hera. Her Roman name is Juno. She is his sister and his wife. I don't know, guys. I think the Olympians, the mythological gods, they kind of defy genetic law. But she is the jealous protector of marriage, and she punished the women Zeus fell in love with. She didn't punish Zeus. I don't know. I think I'd be a little afraid of him. But she punished the women that he fell in love with. So whenever you see Hera depicted, you see her with peacock feathers or a peacock because she loved peacocks. And the reason for that is because she was pretty vain, and she liked to associate herself with things that were beautiful. So that was her little, she even kept like pet peacocks according to Greek myth. Poseidon, his Roman name is Neptune. He is the god of the seas and the water. And when we talk about, when they also label him as Earthshaker, which I don't know why. I would think Zeus would be the Earthshaker because he throws the lightning bolts down, kind of, in the stormy night. That is what rattles us, like the thunder and lightning. But he's called the Earthshaker. He can, create hurricanes and typhoons and tsunamis. So it's not a good idea to make this guy mad either. See what I'm talking about, all those base emotions like anger. Seems like these guys are always mad about something and taking revenge out on someone. So Hades, his Roman name is Pluto. Again, another planet, if it did or did not exist, right? I don't know where we are with it this year in 2020. Does it exist or does it not exist? God of the underworld, and he kidnapped Persephone. Okay, so Hades and Zeus are brothers. And Hades kidnaps Persephone and takes her to the underworld. And Persephone is technically his niece. It's like they have nothing better to do. They have to fight with each other. Hestia, her Roman name is Vesta. She's the goddess of home, and she's a powerful protector. Now, I have seen, you could get these amulets to wear, these coins that have Hestia in this form. It's like this drawing right here, engraved on those medallions that you wear around your neck for protector of the home. I've seen that before. Demeter, her Roman name is Ceres, and she's the goddess of harvest. With Ceres, when you find pictures of Demeter or Ceres, you can look them up under both names, but you're always going to see her depicted with a stalk of wheat, which you see here, and then a torch. I'm not sure what the torch signifies, but if she's the goddess of harvest, then the wheat makes sense. So Athena. Okay, so there's a really good story behind Athena and Medusa. I kind of forgot how Athena or Medusa became Medusa until I read a short story about her. But Athena, her Roman name is Minerva, and she's the goddess of wisdom and war. She sprang from Zeus's head. So as the story goes, it's pretty vivid, but Zeus's head began to crack and split open, and then she just sprang out, like as a full adult person. So, I mean, if you've read any mythology, none of these people have any normal births. They kind of all spring to life somehow, or spontaneous combustion, just ta-da, here we are. And they walk and talk. I thought I had some more. Okay, so I do have notes on her. So Athena actually is the one who turned Medusa into Medusa. Now, Medusa's name was Medusa, but before she was an ugly snake woman, she was a beautiful girl, but her problem was she was too proud, so she went around and boasted about how proud she was. And then one day she visited the Parthenon in Athens, and she said, you know what, they could have done so much better. They could have used me as a subject instead of Athena. And that made Athena mad. So she said, for your pride, you're going to suffer for eternity. So she turned her into a snake-headed thing, and she sent her to the ends of the earth. Pretty crazy. So Ares, he's the Roman god of war. He's the god of war. His Roman name is Mars. He is the son of Zeus and Hera. He is bloodthirsty and merciless. So this guy was good at strategy. He was good at winning wars. He was good at fighting. I mean, look how buff he is. So whenever they needed something done, they sent him to wreak havoc and carnage on people. All right, Hephaestus. This is a hard name to say. I had to say it over and over again to prepare for this slide. Hephaestus. So his Roman name was Vulcan, which if I think of a Vulcan, I think of a big, gigantic bird. But he's the god of fire and forging. So forging as in blacksmithing. So he builds stuff. And anytime you see him depicted, you're going to see this thing that looks like an anvil or something to hammer metal with. So a hammer, I guess. And so in this picture right here, he's actually forging something with fire. So whenever I see him with the hammer, I always think of Thor. You guys know who Thor is, right? But not as cute as Thor, right? This dude is not as cute as Thor. I'll take our modern day Thor any day. All right, and so he is kind unlike his brother Ares. So Ares the meanie, and he's the good guy. Where have you heard that sort of story before? So here we have love and hate again as one of our themes, and revenge, because there are some stories where they actually have some problems. So Apollo, his Roman name is Apollo. So Greek is Apollo and Roman is Apollo. He is the god of light, sun, and music. His brother is Artemis. Or he is the brother of Artemis. I always get that wrong. Artemis is a girl. Don't forget that because I'm going to mess it up on the next slide. Okay, so anytime you see Apollo depicted, he has this thing right here, which is called a lyre. It's sort of like this harp that he carries around. Now, there's a back how he got that harp. So one day he came to see his cattle, and all his cattle were gone. And then he talked to like a sheep herder, and he said, "Have you seen my cattle?" The sheep herder said, "Hey, I saw this babe driving your cattle backwards," and then he hid them. And so he knew exactly where to go. So he went to Hermes and he said, "Where are my cattle?" And Hermes took him to him, and Apollo saw that Hermes had actually killed 2 of his cattle to make that lyre, because he used the cow gut to make that lyre. And so Apollo was really mad. He's like, "You are going to pay for this." And Hermes said, "Oh, no, wait a minute. I have a present for you. Here you go." And he handed Apollo the lyre. And as soon as Apollo struck a note on a lyre, he was instantly entranced and he fell in love with it. And he said, "Keep my cattle. I just want this lyre." And so that became a symbol for him. And that's why he became the god of music. So Artemis, girl, female. I always get this wrong. Artemis, her Roman name is Diana. And she is the goddess of the moon and hunt. So anytime you see her depicted, like in this picture here, she has a crescent moon on her head. And then also in one of her other symbols are the bow and arrows that she keeps. And she is the sister to Apollo. Hermes, last but not least. Okay, so Hermes is my favorite because he's a little devil. He's a tricky little sucker. His Roman name is Mercury, also again associated with the planet, and he is the messenger of the gods. He kind of is like the jack of all trades because, one, he doesn't want to make anybody mad, so he tries to stay on everyone's good side. That's part of that manipulation and deception like he did with Apollo. He appears in more myths. So what happened with him, so I looked him up, and he's considered the god of trickery. He's also the patron god of liars and thieves, gamblers, commerce and trading, and one story even credits Hermes with the invention of scales, the alphabet, and card games. Jack of all trades, right? This guy is crazy. I think that's all I have on that. Aphrodite, her Roman name is Venus. I don't know if you guys can see that picture. This is not a really good picture. The picture that I did have was of Venus in the half shell, and she's coming up out of the ocean. Now, a lot of pictures that you're going to find, paintings, pictures, sculptures of Venus, they're probably not appropriate for young ages because they depict her with not a lot of clothes on. So, but again, she comes right out of the water in a half shell, kind of like Athena springing from Zeus's head, not a natural birth. She kind of just pops out and says, "Here I am." So, and it says she sprang from the ocean foam. Dionysus, his Roman name is Bacchus. He's the god of wine. So anytime you see this guy depicted, he's going to have a glass of wine, and his wreath on his head are grape leaves. Persephone. This is the last slide for the Greek gods and goddesses. So her Roman name is Proserpina. It's really hard to say. It makes me think of prosperity, but I don't know how that would be because she is the goddess of the underworld. And she was the one that Hades kidnapped and took to the underworld. So anytime you see a picture of Persephone, she's not very happy. She's been condemned to live there for eternity. Okay, so right now we are going to make a paper Zeus. And let me get to that slide. So we're going to make a paper Zeus, and you can do this at home. You just need an empty toilet paper roll. So I'm going to come over here. Just need an empty toilet paper roll. So one of these. And if you don't have an empty toilet paper roll handy, and your mom and dad don't want you to take all the toilet paper off of it, you can use an empty paper towel roll, but just cut it to the size that you need. So you're going to need an empty paper towel roll, and you're going to need scissors and glue. Now, on my website, on the plan book for Sequoyah, I have this template that's you can use, and you can cut this out. You don't have to use this template. You can use construction paper, or you can design your own outfit for Zeus, but this was just kind of handy. So I pre-cut everything, and so I have my Zeus here. I put the thunderbolt on the wrong side, but here's what it looks like. And this Zeus has special powers, and you'll see that in a second. Let's get this stuff out of the way. So, and then I also put the template for Medusa. If you guys want to make Medusa, she is also there. All right, so we're going to just put her right there. Hey, can you guys see her? She's ugly, right? I feel bad for her. What's about to happen? Okay, so you're going to take your empty toilet paper roll, and we're going to, 4 minutes, okay. We're going to glue, where's my toilet paper roll? Okay, we're going to glue Zeus's body on. So, I brought the wrong glue.
It's not going to work, man.
I brought the wrong glue. We're going to simulate it, guys. Do we have tape? You can use tape. Okay. So you can use tape. I pre-cut everything because I, figured we'd run into some problem. So she's going to tape Zeus's body very quickly.
Okay. Now what? What am I taping now?
Okay. We're going to tape his head on. Tape his head on.
Where's his head?
And, of course, let's do his arms. Because, you got it? Oh, here, you want one? We're going to tape his arms.
I dropped his arm.
Because we have to get him ready because he's, special powers. Well, okay, do you want to do that?
He's not going to be proportionate today.
Yeah, not proportionate.
He's going to be a little lopsided.
Okay. How many minutes do we have? Okay, so here we go. His lightning bolt, let's put his lightning bolt in his hand. I think it's supposed to go the other way, but whatever. We're improvising because I brought the wrong glue. That's not going to work. And he usually has a belt around him, so we won't do the belt today, but he has his belt, and then, of course, his feet. So you guys can do this at home with the template, but, the story, Perseus actually kills Medusa, but in this instance, Perseus Perseus is not here, so we have to get rid of Medusa. So Zeus, I told you he has special powers. You guys ready? Say bye-bye. Oh. Uh-oh. She's dead. So you guys can build this at home or make this at home. Build it. We kind of built it because I brought the wrong glue. Anyway, next up is Mrs. Dorsey, and she's going to talk to you today about math. I've had fun. Shout out again to Veronica. Happy birthday. And I will see you next week.